mission meant for unity, building faith in the Almighty. Forward Taliban Polytechnic College to reach our goals and our plans. March on Taliban Polytechnic College towards development for our nation. Let's continue a journey driven by a vision. Climb every mountain, swim every sea. Forward Taliban Polytechnic College to reach our goals and our plans. March on Taliban Polytechnic College towards development for our nation.
Hello, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Can you hear me? Yes, okay. Sige. Welcome once again. This is our third webinar for the Career Talk 2021. Last Saturday, we invited Ma'am Pamela Uy. We have broadened your career path. You have learned that there are also plenty of opportunities in local NGOs, and she also mentioned some international NGOs, right? To let you know more about the international non-government organization, for you to be able to discover if you really want this path, I have invited someone from an international NGO. He is a graduate of BS Psychology at University of San Carlos. He took masters in counseling at Cebu Normal University. He was the former human resources specialist and executive assistant for 3 years at Lear Corporation. He was a former, my colleague, former guidance head of University of Cebu, Lapu-Lapu, Mandaue, and also a former university scholarship coordinator, university career and placement manager, and the former university quality assurance coordinator of UC Lapu-Lapu, Mandaue campus as well. He has 8 years of experience in academia and is still currently connected with the psychology department of the University of San Carlos. At present, he is connected with Compassion International as partnership facilitator for Cebu cluster. He's a former and facilitator of J Company, a support group for young professionals. Grabe ang qualification sa ato ang speaker for today. Let us welcome our speaker, Mr. Jeremy Milan. Sir Jor, good afternoon.
And then good afternoon. I hope everyone can hear me. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a privilege to be speaking in front of you, even if digital na platform lang via Zoom. I think one thing Dale.
Oops.
Sorry. And I think one area na Dale has forgotten to inform, or I have forgotten to inform Dale to include, is that we're actually batchmates ni Dale sa college, classmates, and in fact we're barkadas up until now for quite a long time already, and it is a privilege to be invited. So this afternoon, I will be actually presenting my talk via a pre-recorded discussion or a video presentation. Then afterwards, any one of you can ask. I really appreciate if you could ask questions or present any clarification so that it can help you. And looking forward for you guys working in an international or non-government organization as well. So I think I'll give this time for the video presentation, and then you can also take note of the questions. We'll answer it right after the presentation. So thank you.
Thank you, Sir Jor. I will now present the recorded video presentation.
Hi, good day everyone. Welcome to another career talk. And today we're going to talk about international NGO careers or how to find jobs in international NGOs. I am your speaker for this day, and I'm Mr. Jory Mimilian, the Partnership Facilitator of Compassion International, currently assigned here in the province of Cebu. I'm a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Psychology at the University of San Carlos. I also took up my Master's in Counseling at Cebu Normal University. I'm currently working in Compassion International. We are actually a child advocacy ministry pairing compassionate people with children living in extreme poverty. So what we do actually is to look for people, kind-hearted people, people who wanted to make the world a better place, and pair them with children who needed much help. We are a global organization and can be found in Latin America, in Asia, and Africa. Our global partners or sponsors, as we call them, they're actually from well, Korea, Japan, Australia, European countries, the Americas. But I'm not here to talk much about my organization. I'm here to share to you how you can actually find a job in international organizations such as the organization that I am working with. If you are a person who is into supporting others in need and is creative in creating a positive change in communities, then working for international NGOs is for you. Ang pagtrabaho sa mga international organization, dili man na siya basta-basta. Ang gikinahanglan katong mga tao na naagi dakong paghigugma sa ubang tao kung gusto nila makita na mo improve pod ang kahimtang sa uban. Labi na ang kahimtang sa komunidad. So how do international organizations operate? They operate just like any other business. They have many people working in accounting, in marketing, in fundraising departments. While the larger organizations, such as UNICEF or Compassion International, or maybe Save the Children, they maintain whole departments in marketing, logistics, public relations, business development, human relations, product development, legal, and more. In fact, if you are part of our organization in Compassion International, there is a department that's responsible in creating informative materials or even a research department to ensure that our services or meeting the needs of our beneficiaries are met. Now, if you are into working international organizations, then I guess you need to know this. If you consider working or having a career in an international organization, first thing you need to do is decide exactly what you want to do. That's very important. You need to know what you want to do in life. What do you want to achieve? What drives you? What change do you want to see in the world? Those three questions are very important. Now, I guess you need to reflect on them. Imong ginahuna-hunaan, ikaw ba ang klase sa tao na gusto muhatag og maayo or positibong butang kausaban sa kalibutan? And that is very important. You must have your drive. You must know your purpose prior to considering working at NGOs. Remember, international NGOs are more humanitarian. They are more into helping people, providing their needs, making communities a peaceful place, helping countries become better, helping developing countries achieve what other countries achieve. It is important to remember that if you consider working in international NGO, you have to invest in yourself. You need to develop skills that are valuable to the role you want to do in the organization. What you need to do is to invest heavily in skills, in developing them. Importante kayo na kamaogyot ka. Importante nga dili nimo mapasagdaan ang imong kaugalingon because we are talking international. You have to invest in your future by developing professional skills that are relevant and in demand for the role of and the organization you want to work for. Some of the most valuable skills that can enhance your NGO career prospects are outlined in the next slide. Skills that you need to develop if you want to work in organizations or international organizations. Number one, you need to have critical thinking. You have to be creative. You need to learn how to collaborate with other people. You need to know how to communicate. It is important that you have sufficient information literacy. You need to have media literacy, especially right now that we are in the age of information and technology. We are already in the age where in Facebook, Instagram, and even Twitter are being used by international organizations. We need to know or to be knowledgeable in technology. Organizations, especially the big ones, usually provide laptops as workstation for their employees because they travel a lot, because they work in fields or they work off-sites. It is important that they have everything portable, like the computer, like the laptop, and other device necessary for their work. You need to be flexible because if you will be assigned in different locations, you need to be able to adjust and adapt to different situations. If you want to work in NGOs, you have to have leadership skills. You need to know how to direct people, lead people. It is important to have initiative. Most importantly, it is also expected of you to be productive, even if you are assigned in special situations. And lastly, it is very important to have social skills for you to be able to relate with other people, and most especially for you to be able to adjust to different cultures. Now, each skills is broken into 3 categories. You have the learning skills, the literacy skills, and the life skills. In the next slide, we are going to explain each and every skill involved in each category. Learning skills teaches students like you or aspiring students who want to work in NGOs about mental processes required to adapt and improve upon a modern work environment. Remember, you are working in an international NGO where its presence is all over the world. Some people even call it multinational organization, dealing with different people, different situations. That is why it's very important for you to be able to be equipped and can adapt in modern work environments. Literacy skills, on the other hand, focuses on how students can discern facts, publish outlets, and technology behind them. It is important that we are able to ensure that the information that we get are correct and are reasonable and are valid. We have to ensure that the information that we have or the information that we pass to others or the information that we use in formulating strategies and action plans are trustworthy or that comes from trustworthy sources. Dili pwede na mamira lang kag masking unsang information. They can be fake news, and if you use it, it may end up a bad impact sa inyong organization. So it is important that you must possess the necessary literacy skills for you to be successful in working in NGOs. The next set of skills or next category is life skills. This is talking about skills that are intangible elements in your everyday life. These intangibles focus on both personal and professional qualities. They talk more about, well, your personality and how you deal with people, how you deal with life in general. So now let's take a deeper look at the learning skills. There are 4 C's that you need to remember when we talk of learning skills. The first is critical thinking. When you say critical thinking, it's about finding solutions to problems. When you work in NGOs, you will always be exposed to situations that needs immediate action. Therefore, it is important that you should have quick problem solution skills or critical thinking skills. Now, in all 4, I believe critical thinking is the most important quality for someone to have when you are working in an international organization. Critical thinking is essential to improve how things should go and work in the organization. It is actually a mechanism that weeds out problems and replaces them with fruitful endeavors. Remember, NGOs or international NGOs are more of humanitarian, trying to address the current and pressing needs of people. Therefore, it is very important that you must have good critical thinking skills. You must be able to find correct and accurate problem solutions. The next C that you need to learn is creativity. When you say creativity, that is thinking outside the box. Creativity is equally important since this skill empowers students or you, applicants, on concepts of, leading that leads to innovation. In any field, innovation is the key to the ability and overall success of the organization. It is very important that learning creativity as a skill requires someone to understand that the way things have been done may have been best 10 years ago, but are not effective anymore. What I'm trying to say is that when you work in an international organization, being creative is not just cutting out papers, making colorful banners or whatever. Creativity is doing things work things more efficiently. Creativity is actually making sure that the process being done is done efficiently. As I have said, na ay mga butang na gibuhat before ang process before mao ni but are no longer applicable karon depending on the situations, depending on what is happening. Now, the third C that you need to remember when we talk of learning skills is collaboration or working with others. Collaboration means getting applicants like you or students to work together or achieve compromise if needed and get the best possible results from solving problems. So working together in order to achieve the best result or the best solution to a pressing problem. You need to learn how to work together effectively. And the fourth C in the learning skills is communication, talking to others. At the same time, communication, if we talk about international organization, communication is also having an advantage of, speaking other language, especially when you are assigned to specific regions in the world. For me, it is a good thing that I am a Cebuano in that the organization that I applied for, they had a vacancy for a position that is assigned in Cebu. So I actually had the advantage among other applicants for the position since I am already a native speaker of the Cebuano language. So aside from having that advantage, I am also good with communicating with other people, able to communicate with different people all over the world, simply because I am knowledgeable also with English. And that is very important when you work in international organization. You're able to communicate effectively with others. Now, we go to the second category, which is literacy skills. Literacy skills can be remembered with IMT, or information, media, and technology. Information literacy means understanding facts, figures, statistics, and data. Information literacy is a fundamental skill. It helps you understand facts, especially data points. When you work in organizations like UNICEF or Save the Children or like World Vision, when you implement programs, you always base it in existing data, or we call baseline data. And these baseline data, they are facts and figures and numbers that you have to understand. Talking about percentage, we're talking about ratios, we're talking about a lot of statistical stuff. So information literacy is about having understanding on these facts and figures. It is very important. We get this during our college days on subjects like statistics or research. Information literacy is about, interpreting relevant data that can affect your programs being implemented. In international organizations, these data are vital. They are very important. If you interpret them wrong, then you will have a catastrophic event. Programs will not be effective and beneficiaries will not grow as planned. Media literacy, on the other hand, is understanding the methods and outlets in which information is published. Now, it is not just about you knowing how to use Facebook or Instagram or email. Media literacy is about the practice of identifying publishing methods. Where can you actually publish the information that you need? Where can you publish or send out this information? You need to be able to identify good media platforms to support your programs. For large organizations such as ours in Compassion International, we have hired international IT companies to help us build our own media platform where we can actually monitor the partnership between our sponsors and our beneficiaries. So it is very important that you understand how things work when it comes to media platforms. Another important thing when we talk of literacy skills is technology. Technology is understanding the machines that make information age possible. You already know how to operate cell phones. You already know how to operate laptops or computers. But there are still gadgets that international organizations use. For example, in our organization, because we value so much the relationship of the sponsor and donors, we actually build a mechanism out of the usual letter writing. Now, what am I talking about? Sponsors get to write letters to their beneficiaries, to their children that they support. And those letters are written in, guess what? Paper and pencil. But upon receiving those letters, we then bring them into this huge scanner that can actually scan letters for 20,000 letters in a day. Now that's technology. Now, those letters that are scanned are automatically being converted into digital programs or digital softwares or into digital, let's say, forms. So the handwritten are converted into computer text that can be read through online. So it is very important that you should also know a little technology skills. The third skills that you should know when you want to work in an international organization is the life skills. Life skills can be remembered in FLIPS: flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social skills. Now, flexibility is the expression of someone's ability to adapt to changing circumstances. Now, since you are working in an international organization, there is a high possibility that you will be assigned to different locations with different people. It is very important that you are able to adjust and adapt to changing circumstances. For example, during the Yolanda or the Typhoon Haiyan, our organization quickly adopted in humanitarian form how we can help our beneficiaries who are greatly affected in the provinces of Samar and Leyte. We have to quickly adapt to a strategy that should ensure the safety of everyone. During the pandemic season, our organization again showcase or practice flexibility. Since we are having difficulty crossing from one region to another due to strict restrictions from local governments, we adopted to a different strategy. Since face-to-face is not that feasible, we adopted to strategies online, and even limited face-to-face. We have to be quick in adapting to different situations. And flexibility is very important for each and every one of us who wants to work in international NGOs. The next skills in the third category is leadership. Leadership doesn't have to be about having someone who is seasoned or has been in the work for a very long time. It can be also applied for fresh hires or people who just started their career. Leadership is for everyone. For people who are in entry level or entry level workers, they need leadership skills for several reasons. The most important is that it helps them understand the decisions of their managers, help them understand decisions made by business leaders, or help them understand the current situation of the people they are serving. These entry-level employees can apply leadership skills when they're promoted to middle management. Now, each one of us, especially those working in NGOs, we have high potential in becoming promoted, in leading teams. It is very important that we must possess this already so that we can accomplish goals every year or even every quarter. The third life skill is initiative. Initiative is about starting projects, strategies, and plans on one's own. True success also requires initiative, requiring you to be self-starters. Initiative only comes naturally to a handful of people. Not everyone has the gift of initiative. As a result, each of us need to learn it in order for us to fully succeed in our endeavor in working in non-government organizations. Now, to be honest, this is one of the hardest skills for us to learn and even practice. Initiative often means working on projects outside of regular working hours. The rewards for people with extreme initiative vary from person to person. Sometimes they're good grades if they are students. Other times they would be new ventures for our work. Sometimes spending extra 30 minutes at your job, especially in NGOs, helps, put things in perspective or helps you finish work even before the deadline. So initiative is actually an attribute that earns rewards. It's especially indicative of someone's character in terms of work ethic and professional progress. So it's very important that we practice initiative always, because initiative is a very helpful tool or skill, not just in work, but even in our life. Most especially, if you want to work in an NGO or international NGO, initiative is always and always welcome. The next life skill under the third category is productivity. Productivity talks about maintaining efficiency in an age of distractions. What am I saying, or what am I talking about when I say age of distractions? Our current situation right now is an example of distractions. there are situations that are beyond your control. But the question is, can you still produce or can you still provide good outputs as required by your organization? Can you still carry out activities or program despite current situations? For example, one of my colleagues who is actually working in Africa is currently ensuring that programs for children when it comes to health is still being delivered or provided even if there is an existing civil war or conflict in the region. Now, that is productivity. Productivity is still able to provide or give your best, your outputs, even in distressful times. Now, as I said, working in an international NGO, it takes heart for people who are in need. You having this desire to promote positive change in communities. It's all about passion. That's why you need to be productive even in very difficult times or age of distractions. And lastly, in life skills, we talk about social skills, meaning we talk about meeting and networking with others for mutual benefits. Social skills also means cultural understanding. Social skills or cultural understanding is very important, especially when you work in international NGOs. You will never know. You will be assigned in a different country, in a different region that is not the same as yours. You will be exposed to certain cultures that may not be, well, that friendly. You might be exposed to cultures that are, well, not your type. But with social skills, you're able to connect with people. You're able to network with others for mutual benefits, even if you have different cultures, even if you have different beliefs. It is important that you are able to socialize, connect with people, relate with people. Sometimes, like our organization, wherein we are from different countries. Now, when we meet together, it is very important that we understand each other, not just because of communication, but we understand how we behave, how we work together, their norms, their cultural practices. It is important that we be able to respect one another, the differences that we have. That is why it is important to have social skills. Laing-laing tao, laing-laing personalidad. Lain-laing nasod, lain-lain ugawi, lain-lain kultura. Kinahanglan ka mao ka, makikonektar kay bao ka, makigrelasyon gihapon ni ana maong tawhana. Na as if they are still your friends and you come from one country or you come from one place. Working together socially. Now, there are other two skills that you need to learn if you want to work in an international organization. First is work experience. On top of all those skills that I have mentioned, work experience means that you have exposed yourself already to relevant jobs or tasks that you think is very much helpful in the kind of work in the international organization. Some international NGO offer internship opportunities that often pay some cost, but at least you get to experience how things work in those organizations. Another skill is volunteering. It is very important for international organization that you are an active volunteers in any humanitarian works, that you involve in community development. You volunteer to other service that addresses the needs of people. Now, those two things are very important for you to land a good career in international NGOs. Now, for my last words, as long as you invest in developing yourself, and if you have the passion to support people, you can find a job in an international organization. I guess it's time for questions and clarifications. There was a question na raised, and I'd like to address that. There is a question about it's more of a tenure, the tenure of the program, no, and that is really a concern for most when we talk of NGOs, no. So it just so happened na our organization, the organization that I'm working with, Compassion International, it is fairly stable na organization. We have been existing for 49 years. Next year, we will be celebrating our 50th year. So as to the employment, it is important if you are, kung gusto ka mong work o international organization, it is important na mutanaw ka prior to applying. I-check nimo kung if it is a project-based na employment or if it is for a permanent position. So for project-based, of course, there would be, from the name itself, it's project-based. So na ay particular period of time lang na siya. Then after the project is done, then you are off the company. And then if there is an extension of that program, then ma-extend po ka. But if not, you would have to end also your stint in that company. In my case rather, this is a permanent position. So the moment I saw this opening, I checked in. It is a permanent position, so it's not just based on project. So I applied. So ang tenureship nako is being a regular employee. So regardless if the project is phase out siya or there would be another project or ending usa, I would still have my position. Although ang akong task would vary na dayon from one project to another. But since our organization, Compassion International, is more of sponsorship sa mga children, and then every time na ay child na mo end or mo finish a program is replaced. So there is an ongoing. So it is a sustainable na program, no, so magdaga na siya. So there is no need for a project-based, mo na siyang permanent na fund. As to funding naman, because there are other organizations rely so much on the funds that they have, no? Because NGO man siya, non-government organization. So, a non-profit pa yun. So, we rely so much on donations. So, as I have explained, just like any other company, na ay what we call a marketing group. Now, that marketing group is actually responsible in securing funds so that the organization would be sustainable. The programs would be sustainable. Dili siya mo. Despite the pandemic, the organization wala kayo na apektuhan. To be honest, wala mi na apektuhan simply because large organizations such as and other organizations, they are required by law to have a reserve. Natay gitawag na reserve fund, so that when economic crisis would come or any crisis would come, na maagian sa mga international NGOs, they can still continue with their programs. Walay abrupt na end sa program. So just like karon sa pandemic, we might have lost significant number of sponsors. However, due to the reserves that we have accumulated for the past few years na, we're able to sustain the program. So naana siya yung ana. So it is best if the international organization that you are planning to join with have sustainable or good good reserves. So the continuity. So again, if in case the project that you are involved in ends, so that depends gihapon ang imong employment na company depends on your status. Are you a permanent item or are you a project based? So that's one thing that you have to consider when you apply. Always check, is this a permanent position? Is this a tenured position, or this is a project based? On project based, that would your employment would depend on how long would the project last. Sometimes na ay 3 months lang. There are times, let's say for example sa USAID, if you're familiar, sometimes 3 years ra ang contract, then after the contract wala na. So kana siya. All right. There might be others who would like to ask questions. Perhaps you can just chat. Pwede ra mo mag-chat ra. Pwede ra Bisaya, English, or Tagalog, depende sa inyo.
Thank you so much for the explanation, Sir Jor. I hope natubag ra Rosalyn. Actually, that question, no, gikan na siya ni Rosalyn Ino. Supposedly, kana question, iya na i-air out sa katong local NGO kang Ma'am Pamela. So, however na alanganin siya, Mark, nagduha-duha siya pangutana, i-share na ko daan sa atong speaker before nag-start ang webinar. Then mo to na-cater ang question. Same goes with the local NGO, Sir Jorno. There are regular positions na apoy project-based. And naapoy marketing, na-assign sa marketing nga. 1 year na lang from 1 year na lang gani ang project, no, mahuman na, mag-market na sila dayon og laing funding partners. So, kaya aron before ma-end ang project, na po'y bagong project mo abot, waiting, kaya aron dili ma-stop po ang employment sa katong project-based. So, ma-end man gani ang iyahang project, sa kana nga, example, sa Save the Children nga project, nailain na po ng funding partner sa Terdezo, mga ana, another international, so ma-continue ra. Different project, musayin na po sila laing contract for a different project, pero still, ning stay siya sa local NGO, nabot na siya 10 years. So, mo po na, you should be mindful of kung asa mo apply, kung kanang NGO dugay na bagyod na, kay kung dugay na kaayo, pasabot ana, daghan na sila connection and maayo ilang marketing. Nanapod sila reserve, daghan, katong giingon ni Sir Jor. So, mauna, you should think about it po. Keep it in mind, no? Inik-apply ninyo sa NGO. If feel good ninyo nga, naagid mo aning linyahan, no, to help and support po other people. Sakto, Jor.
Yes. That is correct din. Sakto na siya.
Yeah.
So, because we are monitored by certain na mga organizations. Ang mga international organizations or NGOs, just like local NGOs, no, we are actually being monitored by certain organizations because our funding comes from the public. Our funding comes from private individuals. So naay mga pandi ka basta-basta o create o kanang organization. You must have a good source of funding and then you must be regulated yun. So for example, on our side, since we are an international organization, there is what we call kanang gitawag nato na Charity Watch. Now, ang Charity Watch, it is an organization that monitors actually also organizations when it comes to funding. Now, then I don't know if I'd like to share sana a screen, my screen just to Unsa niyo?
Okay. Go ahead, Sir Jor.
Okay. Just to show everyone, I hope na you can see it. So this is actually Charity Watch. Charity Watch is actually international organization that monitors the performance of every NGO. So that wala NGO nga or international NGO na mo hagba lang kalit, and then there will be loss of employment and also maapektuhan ang mga projects. So this is Charity Watch actually grades us. So gigraduhan mi ana every year. So if you can see, if I'm going to scroll down, we fall under the category of child sponsorship charities. Okay, so we actually, Compassion International has actually an A standing. So mao na mong grado, mabot ka ni kag A ana, that you mean you're good when it comes to financial na stability and ano. So that in itself would, kung ikaw, if you would like to apply an organization, you can just look at this or visit kanina mga kwan. These are all international NGOs na kalista dire, and it would give you an idea na that company or that organization is very much stable, and you can actually apply there without any worries of losing your job, except for if kung project based ka na kwan. So yan.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sir Jor. Actually, karon pag yun po ko nakadungog anang Charity Watch.
Oo. Actually, napag yun siya daghan, Charity Watch, then you have a Guide Star. Ang Guide Star naman po, mao po na siyang mura siya organization na muhatag o mura siya 5-star ranking, mura siya hotel ba? Na it would give you 5-star ni siya na organization, kani 1-star lang ni siya. So napo in ana. That is a mandatory coming from international organizations, and to protect the donors and sponsors, and at the same time to protect everyone within especially the beneficiaries. So protection, one line of protection na siya.
Yes. And also, gamit sad kayo na. Kung ganahan mo ma-apply, use that as basis. Yeah, use that as basis na maayo ni nga pagka-establish and pagka-maintain ng NGO, international NGO.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Any more questions? Yes, George. Sir George.
While waiting sa ilahang questions, ang mga international NGOs, lain-lain na sila og mga focus or mga core na gipang for our organization in Compassion, we focus more on child and youth development, so holistic development na amoa. So we start with 0-year-old na bata. In fact, ang bata sa gibuntis pa, from pregnant until maabot siya o 20 years old, sponsoran na siya. So we want holistic development. So in every stage sa bata na siya. There are other organizations na who focus also on health, others in food security. So that depends on what kind of ang focus sa sa kana na organization. There are also organizations just like mga International Justice Mission, IJM. They focus more on justice, child protection, and also providing yung kanang legal na mga support. So that depends. All right. So are there other questions? Please do ask questions. Pangutanan lang mo.
Feel free to chat na. Nag-atang ako sa chat box. And also, Sir John Murag, I think, di ba, you have a branch here in Ubay na may gisuportaan sa Bohol?
We have a partner. Partner. We call them partners kay they are actually student centers. Student centers nag-establish namo with a local partner. Then dira may magkuha og mga beneficiaries, mga bata. So we do have there actually not just sa Ubay, but there are other parts sa Bohol gid, sa Tagbilaran, sa Carmen. I forgot that I believe there are 12 areas sa Bohol na wherein na aming mga partners. In short, 12 partners na nadra sa Bohol. It is just unfortunate, wala lang sa Talibon, but the nearest is in Ubay, I guess.
Kay, I have talked to mga several students nga under sila o ginana support. I don't know if part sila, hopefully part sila ninyo, no? Para mas kayong kita, wow. Hopefully, murag sila, na ako'y na interview nga mga students yung doon ako, ma'am, supported, mang good me. So, if namin magpalitunon, mga school supplies, mga inana, providean ko na sila, kaya nasa sila sponsors. So, inana ka broad. Wow, thank you so much, no, George. Pindot kayo ang...
You might be wondering, Tinali, I guess most of people are wondering, in fact, I get that a lot of questions siya. Na how come a large organization such as Compassion, dako kayo yung operating all over the world, dili kay madunggan. To be honest, maunang usa ka butang na ginabuhat sa mga NGOs. We do not as much as possible sa presence sa kung asa may nagtrabaho, dili kayo ikuan, dili kay advertise, because we believe we don't want na ang organization ma-put in the spot, but rather we focus more on the development sa community or sa individual mo. Ang names na mo, dili kayo mo appear, pero maka-encounter na lang ka na mo. Same as you have explained din, na naimo na we are sponsored children, but they don't disclose as to one unsa na organization. So as much as possible, we want to work in the background. Ingana siya og dating usually ingana na ang mga NGOs.
Yes. So takibaw din hin ay naminaw din hinga usa sa inyong hangyo sponsoran, di ba? So muna.
We even have a sponsored child before. We have a sponsored child before a long time ago. Karon is currently the mayor of Pangasinan.
Wow.
So former beneficiary siya, and then because we've existed 49 years old na among organization. Karon kay mayor siya sa Pangasinan. So we do have a lot of success stories na
So mo gid na giingon naka-build pa ka og career. No?
Exactly.
And at the same time, nakatabang gid ka sa community. So hopefully kani sila maka-realize sila no nga basin di ay na sila ani nga path pod. Natay question, Sir Jor. What are the things to be done or somewhat unsay mga qualification in order to be a beneficiary of an NGO?
That's a good question, no? For our company, for our organization, we usually start off with kanang gibuntis pa. Pero you should have, because we are an organization that focus on alleviating from poverty. So dapat poorest of the poor among one point of entry is poorest of the poor ka considered, di ba? And then gikan ka bata. There are other organizations naman po focus more on people who are disenfranchised. When you say disenfranchised, kanang agrabyado sa society, wala na hatagan ng opportunity to improve or kwan. For example, when you talk about International Justice Mission (IJM), para mahimo kang beneficiary nila, you must be to be honest, although sakit lang siya pero you should be a victim of sex trafficking or something ana. So we don't want to be a beneficiary of IJM, right? But ana na siya, but depende siya again sa unsay focus sa NGO. For us, for you to be part sa mga kanang children and youth development or charitable na mga organizations, especially kung poverty related or to address problems of poverty, requirement dapat pobre gyud ka. When we say pobre po, naanay qualifications. International NGOs always have this uniform standard of when we say poverty. Those people without proper homes, children really having to eat only once in a day, diba? So kung naakaana ng mga check marks, automatic mahimo kag beneficiary. sa kuan. So again, that depends on the type of organization on sa ilang focus sa kuan. So kana siya.
And kuan man mo, Jorno, mo link mo sa barangay?
Yes. We partner with the barangays not because magkuha mi og beneficiary from the barangay, but rather we partner with the barangays because the barangays are actually what we call local resource mobilization or LRM. Naamdoy funding coming from the government, for example, free vaccines, diba? Free medicines, and other kuan. So we partner with them, and then makatabang po sila when it comes to child protection. So we partner with them. But as to the selection, we have kuan, mahagbong lang na ang barangay will just be a baseline of the poverty index. So mukuha rami og information from the barangay mo niyang status of poverty, ang general income sa mga average income sa household ing ana para maka-establish may okay, this community deserves to be helped, and then there will be a staff na dayon from our organization na muad to house to really conduct assessment. Nganong kami amo conduct yun sa assessment because we all know that there are certain situations when it comes to local politics na medyo bias and dili kayo yung anak ka well screened ana na.
Yes, agree. Thank you so much, Jor, for answering Nico's question. I hope na answer Nico.
I hope, Nico, you can join the organization, not as a beneficiary, but a part of the organization. It's good to have people who have a heart.
Basin na siya'y ganahan i-refer, anak.
I-refer.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Alright. So, muto ha, ayaw kalimti katong Charity Watch, no, nga pwede mo mutanaw sa scores, no, sa mga international NGOs, and pwede to ninyo i-baseline kung asa mo ganahan mo apply, and kung asa tong linya sa inyong career or linya sa inyong program nga gi-enrollan karon. Basically sa giingon ni Jorganiha, kinahanglan ba mo invest po, di ba, o mo develop sa inyong skills. And ito sana karon nga maningkamot mo sa inyong pag-eskwela kay para naa na mo'y baon ana nga mga skills. And hopefully kana nga mga skills nga based sa inyong program, if mo fit siya unsa na nga project ana nga NGO, mo na inyong i-pursue. If
about, I'd like to insert a very short story lang ani Dale ha. Di gini yung taas kayo. About I actually applied for this position sa Compassion twice. Back in 2009, nag-apply ko pero wala ko nadawat because ang reason was that kato lagi, as I've shared, kato akong i-share mga, those are based on my experience. I must have those competencies, I must have those skills for me to be really employed sa kuan. So I spent the next years from 2010 until 2019, I spent it acquiring all those skills. How did I acquire? Nitrabaho ko kuan university dito akong ni-harness ang akong kato ng mga skills, and then the second time na nag-apply ko in 2019, so dito I checked the box na gyud na kuan sa mga qualifications, and thankfully God allowed na madawat ko sa kuan. But yeah, really, mo gina ilahang tanawon those things that I've shared. That's really important, no? If you want to work good sa kuan, especially kanang critical thinking. And kuan kay you'll be the one in the field, diba? And then this our humanitarian na mga programs na sometimes mo vary siya on your decision, kay depending on the situation sa field kana siya. That's very important.
Yes. And going back sa gidiscuss ni Sir Stephen Taylaran,
Na mute ka din.
Yes, and for if di man gani mo karon maka-apply, or if hindi man gani mo madawat karon ining apply ninyo kun dili mo ma-discourage, but inyong you'll find other ways maka-develop mo pag yun sa inyong skills. Katong gingon ni Sir Stefan, balik kita ma-connect yun ang atong talk sa career 1, career 2, career 3 kay sa gi-discuss pa tong sa previous nga webinar no nga kanani ang maskin pa o utang tag okay wa kung magtarong sa gikan pag first year pa dong third year unya naka-realize ko oh no usa na lang ka sem mo graduate na ko no then ini-graduate oh no as tawag gani di pa ko inana ka confident di ba so then pangitaan og paagi inig panrabaho nimo mangita ka mo volunteer ka or ma'am eventually you'll be able to develop that skill no those skills needed para makabot nimo ang imong dream gyud nga path kung asa ka ganahan be it in private companies in local NGOs in international NGOs and wherever you want to go.
Correct. Ang naka-advantage pag yun, plus pag yun, advantage, nindot ang compensation mo sa international organization.
Wow! Maligaya ang Pasko, di ay ani, Jor. Beke naman. So, amazing.
Okay, kuan magod, dili magod siya, dili ang sweldo will not be based on the country where you are. It will always be based on the country where the organization is. Since most of the organizations, international organizations, ilang headquarters is nasa Europe or sa US, so most likely maupod na ang rate that you will be receiving.
Wow, nice to hear that. No? So, dungag na siyang motivation.
Mm-hmm. So again, that's right. No, regardless sa inyong whatever is your background, what's important is you acquire that. Not necessarily karon ma-acquire na nimo, but as you build then you try. Kung di pa ka madawat sa international organizations, then you build your skill again and then reapply. Ana lang good.
Wa may kuan. Open ra gid kaayo mi nga mo unmute mo ha if you have questions or if agree mo unmute lang na yes sir. Okay. Sige. So napabakahanin sila. I think naining like okay. Sige. So I think murag wala na question. Naamoy malimtan nga mga question or later on na i-chat lang ko or text lang ko total best friends kami ni Jorno. So, pwede ragit kayo na kung
chat.
So, pwede mo chat. No? So, para mapangutanan ako, bahalag na human na ang webinar or to those nga nagtanaw via live or later na makatanaw sa recorded na sa YouTube. If you have questions, and ask me, karon ma-relay rapod na ko ni Jor. Sige.
Dale, again, unsa mga courses gani na nag-join nato karon? This is a mixed group.
Oh, we have 5 programs here. Natay agriculture, natay BA English Language, and BA Pol-Sci. Ang kaning duha ka program na education units daan. So, pwede nila sila mo take board exam after they graduate. Ang English o ang Pol-Sci. Then we have Accounting Information System o BSIS sa computer.
Okay. At least good kanang those courses na mentioned, there are all for international organizations. Kay lain-lain mang gyud in one, as I've said, in one organization daghan jud kay nag-function. Be it education imong kurso, even IT gani sa amo ang gamit kayo simply because we use platforms sa technology na sila ra po mag-develop, mag-maintain. So education ng mga NGOs, daghan pud kaayo, even accountancy, especially kay kuan, you're managing funds, di ba? Or any business related course, need gud kay na siya. Or sometimes gani business related course kay nga naman na livelihood programs ipa-manage. So dapat kamao kaana. Even engineering works kay na may mga constructions nga. So all course would actually fit sa NGO. Ang need lang gid sa NGO, ikaw naa ba kay heart to serve humanity. Ang yun na on community development.
And if you got the skills needed for you to
Yes.
be able to perform well.
Mhm.
Ilong kayo, John.
maybe kung I'd like to share this. Probably kanina ni siya sa Wikipedia, pero ako ra akong gi-chat sa kuan for everyone. If you could visit that is actually di na siya ang full list, but these are the kumbaga top NGOs, international NGOs na gi-categorize according to their focus. So if you look at it, actually fit tanan na kuan, any course or any kuan, so you could always visit there. So if you look at ang kanang children and youth, ang among organization actually ang nasa top of the list sa kuan. But then other mga focus makita ra ninyo dira. So go ahead and browse. There's a quick link man na siya for the or you could start studying karon na mo din yung kinahanglan, sige mo ni akong i-focus o i-develop, di ba? Mas maayo man yung ana. At least intentional ang imong kuan.
Yeah, so please, pwede ninyo i-save ang link na sa chat box i-send ni Sir Jor.
I don't know if you remember pa college deal, I always tell mo ana kung ganahan jud kay ko mo work of international organization, mo gina akong kuan ang target ng United Nations. Although this is not United Nations yet, but this is still an international organization. Diba? Ever since college, gi-work out na ako na naka-join lagi ko ang mga international organization. And I did. So, proper planning lang yun. And then pag-build sa inyong skills, that's really important. And for sure, kaya gina ninyo. If you really have the drive, ang bitaw to ang question ka gani, i-check nimo first ang imong drive. Diba? Kaya kung imong nara sa imong drive, magkuan lang ko kanang ordinary worker lang sa isa ka company, mauragi po na imong maabot. But if you prime your mind na I'm going to work in this organization, then start researching unsay skills na gikinahanglan ana na organization, ana na position, then you work out.
Thank you, Sir Jor. Hopefully, I know na ani sila yung mga plans yun, sa tagsan no, kung asa ni sila saan. So, work for it, guys, para dili ta mabilong sa
As mentioned, no, na agriculture.
Yes, yes.
Daghan kayo og mga ing-ana na related na NGOs o positions. Kung willing po ka, why problema? Kay naman ta sa Asia, so mas advantage. Daghan kay mga European countries who would like to mga European organizations na who are into kanang community development focusing on agricultural na kuan. Pero kung ganahan ka ma-assign og Africa, kato nang hinahanglan po to slag agriculture na kuan og background ito. Pero Africa lang kay butang. Pero okay ra.
Okay ra. O basta if you have the passion and if you really dream to help you, so why not, diba?
Correct. So kanahan kag adventure ato kag Africa. So bahalag nagira-gira sila dito, padayon ra ka og kuan trabaho sa NGO. Ana gina ang life ba sa NGO sa Africa.
Yes. And also sa uban NGOs, ang ilahang time, no, asa to ang holiday, adto sila mo trabaho kay katuman ang time nga off po da ilang client. No?
Yeah.
So, adto po nga time no, walay klase ang students. So, mo na. Things you need to consider if, you know, you really want to serve in NGO.
Ito katong kuan ka ganiha productivity ba? O katong kuan kanang atong usa pa ka skill na akong gisulti nimo kanyo mo work ka even beyond sa imong time.
Yes. Yes.
The good thing ana is napoy time pud yun na makapahuway ka di gyud always ka trabaho. Very flexible pud ang oras sa NGO.
Yes, isa na sa advantage yun. Sa one of the advantages sa NGO flexing a time.
Correct.
You
And
can work from home sometimes.
ang pinaka-paborito gyud nako advantage is I get to travel a lot.
Yes. Oy, sa mga lakot share din na. Bagay kayo ni nila. Sige, so I think murag wala nagi-question, Sir Jor. Sige.
Looking forward to working with everyone puhon-puhon if you are going to be in an NGO. Sana makatrabaho muna ako in the field of humanitarian work.
Yes, hopefully no, wata kay ba basin ni convention oy mag-abot na mo ni Sir Jor, manguhit na mo Sir Jor. Ikaw
Correct.
ka ang speaker sa una ay nana. Wow. So I am looking forward no mahitabo na unta.
Mm-hmm.
So since wala na questions and para dili nato pud mapugnan pud dili nato matake ang time gyud ni Sir Jor gyud this afternoon. But actually okay ra gyud kay na siya maabtan tag alas 6.
Pwede ra yun.
Pwede ra gyud. Sige. Okay ra mo? Ito. Sige, so kidding aside, Sir Jor, let me present to you our certificate. Let me share the screen. Oops. Sharing pa. One moment, guys, ha? Screen sharing is paused. Na-pause di ay? How to...
I think naka-share na ka Dil, but I think ang end sa slide ang imong na-share mo ng one.
Oh, I see. Sige, let me check. Stop share. I-stop sana ko. And by the way, guys, no, before ko mo present sa kuan, atong certificate para ni Sir Jor. Ako, wala mo kahibalo ani, but I think naay nakabantay. But before pa ning career talk sa mga webinars na ko before, pagsugod pag October, was it August, sa 4th year, katong career, harassment in the workplace and work ethics. Okay. Naa si Jor sa background ato. So siya iyahang Zoom way ato ang gigamit sa TPC and siya gid aning tabang nako sa technical everything sa technical concerns sa Zoom. Salamat kayo ato Sir Jor. So
Problema
Sir Jor,
din.
wala mo kahibalo no naara gyud na siya sa background. Anda mo tagana mo support and mo salo sa atong technical issues no. So wala mo kabantay nga naara gyud ay si Sir Jor kuyog nato. So grabe ang iyang passion.
Na-advantage to siya kay mga familiar na sa ani na kuan ba na platform because of my nature sa akong trabaho. So manang ni provide ako pagtabang. That's what friends are, di ba? Tinabangay.
True. So mo na siya no. So grabe ang iyang passion to help naabot gyud sa TPC. Salamat kayo Sir Jor. Si Sir Jor gyud in town mo ning agak nako gikan sa unsaon pag-share, unsaon pagtanan. Okay, salamat kayo Sir Jor. So mo to i-share na nako ako ang screen. Ano na to? Your screen is... So, I think i-open na ko daan. One moment, ha?
I-open na mo daan ang kuan ang file.
Oh, okay. Kani silang mga students, Jor. Actually, di ni sila mo exit. Kay after aning koan talk is our trivia time.
Okay.
Lobat na mi.
Na-mute ka.
Di ni sila mo exit. What have I done wrong?
Ako mo share.
Na-share na ba? Wala pa no?
Wala pa. You want ako mo share?
Sige, Jor, thank you. Actually, ang certificate before pa nag-start, ako nang gihatag ni Jordan.
There.
Oh, thank you so much, Jor. Sige, so this certificate of appreciation is presented to you, Jeremy Milan, in grateful recognition of your invaluable expertise as one of the resource speakers of the Career Talk 2021, held on November 20, 2021 via Zoom conference, signed by our college president, Dr. Maria Fepi Comahig, and our mayor, Honorable Janet A. Garcia. There you go. Daghang salamat.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you, Dale. Thank you to your college.
You may unmute and say thank you to our speaker.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you, Sir Milan.
You're very much welcome.
Sige, so that would be all, Sir Joy. Daghang salamat. Daghang salamat once again.
Sige. Bye.